Kia ora koutou. Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be doing our broken spaces. The early stages are going to go by quickly. First, I'll go through each setup and who we're going to be using today. Belrain is still the same from the last video. After the video, I did one more swap and I got an attack stone, so I got pretty lucky. And enables mightiness, shelter, purify, mightiness, and unbending will. In the early rounds, we're not going to use Amun Ra. If we find we're dying, I'll come around, switch up some of her gear and enables, and put her in the lineup. DA we'll use in the 7th round of Broken Spaces. This is how I'd set her up for that. So I have a crit attack stone with Punisher of Immortal, just to maximize her crit chance, crit damage, and attack. So she's going to have high burst damage with her crits and run Balance Strike so she can heal herself from those crits. And just full offensive, other than Purify. Garuda, the early rounds in Broken Spaces with E5s are really easy, so I'm just going full offensive here. Purify is not really necessary until about stage 5 of Broken Spaces. But I'm just going to leave it on so I don't have to change it later. And for PvE, I'm going to use the Staff Punisher of Immortal on Garuda rather than Kiss of Ghost. Just to maximize on Balance Strike. And we still have the Holy Damage attack stone. I'm not going to change the stones or anything because I'm really low on dust. We're not going to use Penny. Horus, Kiss of Ghost, still the same stone to maximize his block, and Balance Strike as well. Kiss of Ghost is in Broken Spaces. Most of the waves have multiple attack targets, and they're split, so they don't always hit your slot 1 hero. So Horus doesn't take a lot of damage, and to maximize his damage output, Kiss of Ghost is much better than using the Withered Armor here, because we don't have to worry about keeping him alive. And like I said, if we do start struggling with our heroes surviving, we can put Amun Ra in for one of the damage dealers. Heart Watcher is key for Broken Spaces, just to increase everyone else's damage. Same setup from when I showed you guys in the Wishing Fountain guide. And then our final hero, we're going to use Death Swan. No gear. He's just there to put a lasting burn on the enemies. And synergize with Phoenix to maximize our damage output. Yeah, let's get into it. Let's swap these around. Let's still go Horus in the front. Death Swan. And let's go Penny. Speed things up. These first rounds are going to go really quickly. We should have no troubles whatsoever. And generally, you wouldn't even need a healer here. If you have decent tech and the rune's quite upgraded on your monster, 5 stars can survive versus these guys. It's more about trying to maximize damage output. Stage 1 clear. Stage 2. Death Swan, even if he doesn't die, can put a burn on them. So he's a good cheap option for synergy with Phoenix. A better option is Horace Sigmund, who can add a burn to the enemy team. But you want, if you're going to go the Sigmund route, he is going to be, sometimes he can be hard to keep alive. So you want to get him to E3 plus. Obviously, it's ideal to get him up to E5. He's still decent from 10 star and above, but like I said, he doesn't have any sort of self sustain mechanic. So keeping him alive becomes the issue later on. We should be able to finish this one in this round as well without getting all the way up to 15 rounds. Just massive damage from Garuda. So we've used 2 tokens so far, so we started at 617. And let's see, by the time we get to end of stage 7, how many battle tokens, whatever they're actually called, it takes us. Normally when I'm playing, if I wasn't making a video, I would just skip through these. Basically use, because like I've said multiple times, I'm super lazy, so I generally use the same lineup the whole way through and just smash each round. I will leave a link to a great guide for broken spaces. If you have any questions, make sure before you ask them, you check through the comments. It's going to be a link to a Reddit post. You might have seen the guide. Barry Gaming has done a great video on that guide and given some of his own input. So we may even, when we get to Broken Spaces 7, try out his suggestion with Carrie as a support. And see how well she does with Belrain instead of Amon-Ra, because I know that was something in his video he wanted to try out. Ideally, so Heartwatcher doesn't really have too many issues surviving the first rounds at 10 star. Ideally, you want to get her up to E3, so when you get up to that awful Oberon wave, You can have purify. Otherwise, she just sort of ends up stuck in CC a lot of the time, and you don't get the marks maxed out until the really late rounds if you're lucky. Yeah, Garuda is gonna be doing most of the damage, and she had the most healing there. That would be due to the balance mark or strike. What's it called? Yeah, balance strike. So when they crit, they get healing. When we get to the fourth wave, I might switch out her Staff Punisher for Kiss of Ghost, because wave 4 is 2 Grues, and Grue reduces crit chance, and it's just going to reduce their damage and make it a lot slower. I'm not using Ada for this. If you read through her skill kit, it sounds like she would be good in PvE, but her damage is just too minimal. She's a much better PvP hero. Well, you guys have seen enough of the Margaret fight. Let's skip through this. This time Penny did the most damage by quite a lot. And Belrain got the most healing off. So let's look at Grue. So when Grue takes damage, he reduces the target 15% of attack and 24% of crit, which is a large amount for 2 rounds. So when you're constantly attacking Grue, you're just losing attack and crit chance. Let's see, Kiss of Ghost. I have a second one here. So let's put the Kiss of Ghost on Garuda and jump back into it. I might just show one round of the actual fights and then skip through them to try and keep this video a bit shorter, and we can just check the damage after each round. Belrain's great because she's removing some of those debuffs for them, and honestly, I kept Penny in because I don't really have any other damage dealers. A lot of the damage dealers I do have seem to be crit based. Other great heroes for broken spaces. Aspen, Nakia can do pretty decently. Sigmund is fantastic. But because I haven't built up a Sigmund, I'm just using Death Swan, like I said. Gustin is great for removing some of those debuffs on your damage dealers and as like a secondary healer. These waves, or this wave of broken spaces, wave 4, takes a lot longer for the fights as well because Gru has a counterattack, and with Garuda's passive, where she attacks after each hero has attacked, it just makes these fights take a lot longer. But we're having absolutely no issue with health for anyone. Even that Death Swan with no gear is surviving perfectly. So I think it's safe to say we can just skip through this, check the damage, and skip through a couple other fights. So Garuda, the major damage output there, almost 2 billion damage. Garuda's 1.2. Skip. 2.4 billion. Garuda's 1.6. Horus doing more damage that time. So that's 2 fights, and we've still got 80% to go, so it's about 10% per fight. Again, 2 billion, so staying reasonably consistent, but there's more of a spread this time. So 1 billion for Garuda, 500 for Horus, and almost 400 for Penny. So you can see Penny's damage has dropped off a lot, because most of her damage comes from her crits, and she's just having majorly reduced crit versus Gru. So 9% that time. $2.5, and 1.8 of that is Garuda. Let's just smash. 10 times should be enough. We'll use the same lineup. So that one, those two. The order doesn't matter too much because we're having no issues with anyone's HP. So this is sort of where you can have just full offensive enables up to here, and then from here you want to start using Purify, because Valentino and Jara are both CC heroes. Jara with Petrify and Freeze, and Valentino with a Stun. Let's watch one fight, see how we go. And after this one, we'll check Garuda's damage, and then switch back to the Staff Punisher, so you guys can see. Well, maybe we'll do 2 here, 2 or 3 with Kiss of Ghost, and then switch back so you can see sort of what difference it makes. So again, Heartwatch is stunned, which is not great for getting the Watcher marks on them. So this is where you sort of would see a difference with having her at E3 with Purify. She'd be able to remove some of those CCs herself and build up the Watcher marks much faster. And that's going to help greatly improve your offensive carries, like Garuda's damage, Horus, Penny, whoever you're using for your damage dealer. Alright, looks like we're still having no issues with any healing. So let's skip the rest of this, check the damage. So 1.2 billion from Horus, 2.6 from Garuda, 900 million from Penny, and that took off 13%. $3.9. So less damage from Horus and Penny and Garuda. Overall, less damage from everyone. $4.4. 2.6 from Garuda. 900 and 700 from Horus and Penny. Let's go ahead and switch back to the Staff Punisher and see how that goes. Skip. 4.5. 3 billion coming from Garuda this time. Horus doing less damage. $3.6. 2 billion from Garuda. Horus and Penny seem to have their best rounds in that first fight. But so far with the Staff Punisher, Garuda hasn't done less than 2 billion. And she even got up to 3 billion there. So let's see. 4.8. So 2.7 billion from Garuda, 1.2 from Horus again. So you can see the Staff Punisher for PvE damage is much better. 5.7. 4 billion from Garuda this time. Let's just go ahead and smash the rest. Get that out of the way. This wave is massive CC. This is where I expect we'll probably see the Death Swan start dying. And maybe we'll switch out Penny for Amun-Ra. We'll just see how we go here. And I think we'll keep the Staff Punisher on Garuda. And we can also, if we start dying, we can test out if it's better swapping Amun-Ra in for Penny, or if we're better off just switching Balance Strike to Unbending Will. But we'll see how we go. Man, Belrain is making such a difference. The fact that she removes the debuffs is great. Penny's taking a lot of damage. So in this wave, a lot of the damage comes from Oberon's poison. Death Swan's down. Which doesn't matter, he's not there to be a damage dealer. If he dies, he dies. And still applies a lasting burn on the enemy team. And it's great because then there's one less target for Belrain's Smart Heal. Based on this battle, we'll watch some more of the next one, because in those early rounds, Penny was getting pretty low. But based on this, looks like we are still okay and not having any issues with survival. Other than obviously Death Swan went down, which doesn't matter. So you can see much less damage than in the last round. Um, the CC just is crazy. Still 1.5 billion from Garuda. Um, Penny and Horus combined for 1 billion. It's not bad. Let's watch this next one and see how we do. Hopefully this one goes down soon, just so Belrain can heal the rest of them. Yeah, I honestly don't think we're gonna have any issues with people dying, which is great. I'm loving Belrain so far. In the past when I've done this, before I made Amun Ra, this was a really bad wave for my Heart Watcher. She would just die or be CC'd the entire time. So it's great to have a way to remove that CC with Belrain. And also, the fact that she removes like the poison debuffs is fantastic as well. Let's skip these last couple of rounds. 3.6 billion this time, 2.4 from Garuda, and 1 combined between Horus and Penny again. Let's skip a couple waves and then just smash the rest. 4 billion. Garuda putting up big numbers. $4.3. It's much better. 2.5. Penny almost doing 1 billion. Penny is a great burst hero, but her damage is far too inconsistent in PvE. So when you get into the later game, Penny does drop off a bit. She is a great hero to build as your first E5, which is what I'm doing on my mini account. She's great for Brave Trials and basically just put her in by herself. And she just crits her way right through to the end. 3.7. Garuda putting up all the damage again. Let's smash through the rest of these. So we've just used the same lineup the entire time. Just in that fourth wave, we switched out Kiss of Ghost, the Staff Punisher for Kiss of Ghost on Garuda. Now, wave 7, we're going to chuck in DA here. So we'll take out Penny, DA. We want DA in slot 1. For DA to do big damage, she needs to take damage. So I might actually swap out Belrain for... Well, we'll keep Belrain in, see how we go. And then maybe I'll swap out Belrain for Amun Ra and see how we do. And I wouldn't be too sad if Belrain goes down. She'll still provide healing. And then there would be less targets for Phoenix. So you're guaranteed to get the damage buff on Garuda and DA. Oh, and all 3 of them go down there. So we'll skip to the end. So 1 billion, 2% damage. Let's see Same again. Wow, major difference. So that time we got 4 billion, 2.9 of it coming from DA. So let's watch the next fight, and that took out 4%. Let's watch the next fight and see. I guess we just got unlucky in that first one. We'll see how we go this time. So you'll see the more damage DA takes, the more damage she's going to do. And with the Staff Punisher, she's going to have big crit damage, which is going to heal her up and basically bring her back to full. It's annoying to have Belrain horrified, because then she doesn't get her heal off. So that time Garuda did pretty much all the damage. That time we got almost 6 billion from DA. Skip one more and then we'll try. So 2 billion from DA. Now let's see. We'll swap Belrain out for Amun-Ra. Well, we'll go with Amun-Ra. Let's swap out for health. Unbanning will, and let's put a damage reduce artifact on. Belrain, Amun-Ra, battle. So you can see with just Belrain instead of Amun-Ra, the damage was pretty inconsistent with DA. She died a few times there. So we'll see how we do with Amun-Ra instead. This is going to take a while, so let's watch this first fight and then skip through the next ones and just see if the damage is any more consistent. And then we can try put carry in. Well, actually I think carry is going to reduce DA's damage, because she needs to take damage to do more damage. And carry is put in to reduce the energy of Ada and Aspen, which is going to help keep the rest of the team alive. But we can also, Horus's damage has been pretty low and inconsistent in these fights, so we can swap Horus out and have both Belrain and Amun-Ra. So Phoenix buff, and let's see DA's damage. 745 million on Ada. So getting that Phoenix buff and a skill in the last round, even though she was horrified. So not the most damage we've seen from DA, but pretty decent. Let's skip a few fights and see if Amun-Ra makes it more consistent. 7.5 billion, 5.8 from DA. And you'll notice Ada is going down a lot faster. So once Ada is gone, we'll be able to we can stop using DA and put penny back in, or carry. Could be great. We'll see how we go. Oof, 1.6. So DA and Garuda doing the same amount as each other there. $2.7, 1.8 from DA, $3.9. So we're doing more damage, but it still doesn't seem very consistent. Let's try, we'll take Horus out, put Belrain back in. We'll watch this fight for full 15 rounds. God, even on 2 times speed, it feels like these battles take a long time. The other thing with those inconsistent fights, Heart Watcher could have just been going down early. We don't really know. That's the trouble with skipping fights, is we don't know why they were lower damage. We just know they were. Big damage from DA. So that was 300 million on the Aspen and 600 on Ada. Speed it back up. Only 70 million on Aspen and 570 million on Ada. But we're in round 14 and no one's died yet. Well, Death Swan's just gone down now. Phoenix buff, but Belrain is, well, DA, cool. Not as much damage as I was expecting. But Belrain going into that was the only one with a skill. $6.7 billion, 4.5 from DA. Let's skip a couple fights and see with the 2 priests if we have found something more consistent. 6.1, 3.9 from DA. $3.4. DA and Garuda both doing almost the same amount. $4.1. So it seems much more consistent. Like 3.5 has sort of been our lowest, using both of the priests. Ada's getting really low. 5.1. Whew, that one was bad. So DA must have died pretty early on that time, I think. 4.1, 2.3 from DA. Ada is probably going to die if she hasn't already. 2.5. Not great from damage from DA that time. Let's see. Alright, this round Ada's going to die, and then we'll take DA out. Because she's not going to take enough damage to sustain those high numbers versus Aspen alone, and she has faction advantage versus Ada. That's why her damage is so high against Ada rather than Aspen. Skip. Again, not great damage from DA. Let's drop DA. I think Penny may. Let's put Belrain in slot 1. Let's try something like, actually, Death Swan slot 1, Belrain slot 2, and Amun-Ra in 3. Let's see how that goes for us. Well, 8 is still there. Because we had low numbers in that last round, but she's not going to last long. The Death Swan is surviving pretty well. I wasn't expecting him to last that long. I mean, of course, as soon as I said it, he died, but I was expecting him to die sooner than that. Down goes Ada, and Aspen is still roughly, I'd say he's like 40% health. Let's skip through these. So, 320 million from Penny. Only 130 million from Penny. $140 million. $320. Let's try, we'll switch Penny out for Horace, chuck Horace in the front. $150 from Horace. $170. So we may even take out Amun-Ra, see how we do with one less priest and another damage dealer. It's basically the same damage. No major change, to be honest. There are much better damage heroes than Penny and Horace in Broken Spaces. And you're kind of seeing here, once you get through those first few rounds, they don't do a lot of damage. And Garuda's the one who's been carrying us through this whole thing. Let's just smash the rest. So we started at 617 challenge badges. We've now got 536. So what's that? 81 badges? That's not too bad. Anything you don't, if you're doing less than, if it's taking you less than 150 challenge badges per month, then you're going to be building up badges and just accruing a surplus. And we'll just have to wait and see if they make changes to Broken Space in the future. Because, yeah, you roughly, someone's done the math, and you get roughly about 150 challenge tokens per month. So if you're using less than that, you're great, you're golden. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Kakite. See you in the next one.